Rita asks, what's the best high-yield savings account? Thanks for your pointed question, Rita. I love that you're thinking about making your money work harder by earning a higher interest rate. Hey everybody, this is Finance Friday, a special edition of Money Girl where I answer your burning money questions. I'm Laura Adams, an award-winning author, on-camera spokesperson, money speaker, and founder of The Money Stack. That's my Substack newsletter. You can sign up for The Money Stack and learn more at lauradadams.com. This is episode 999, and as I've mentioned in the past few episodes, I'm planning a special show for 1,000. To celebrate, I'll feature comments from listeners and friends like you. I'd love for you to participate by calling 302-364-0308 and leaving a brief message. You might even hear it on the 1,000th show. In today's podcast, I'm going to answer Rita's question by reviewing how high-yield savings accounts work and 6 tips for choosing the best one. So as the name implies, a high-yield savings account pays higher, sometimes much higher interest than a traditional savings account. The highest annual percentage yields, or APYs, are usually offered by relatively small or even exclusively online banks, which have lower operating costs than banks that prioritize local branches, which come with many expenses like rent, personnel, equipment, and property maintenance. An online bank savings can be passed to customers through, a variety of benefits, including higher interest rates, allowing your money to earn more. However, there may be exceptions, like a local credit union that offers competitive rates. So it's always best to shop and compare accounts, and I hope this show will help you do that. So we'll go through 6 tips for choosing a high-yield savings account so that you can put your cash in the best place possible. All right, number 1 is to look for more frequent compounding. Banks state their interest rates, as I mentioned, an annual percentage yield, or APY, and that reflects compounding. Note that an account's annual percentage rate, or APR, does not include compounding. So you want to pay attention to an account's APY and the compounding frequency when comparing your options. For instance, annual compounding means interest is only calculated and paid once a year. Many banks offer monthly compounding, where interest gets calculated and paid monthly. But the best high-yield savings accounts have daily compounding, where you get paid daily. A savings account that pays interest more frequently is better, even with the same interest rate, because you earn more. Let's say you put $10,000 in a typical savings account that pays 0.1% APY and compounds monthly. At the end of the first year, you'd earn about $10. But if you choose a high-yield savings account paying 4% APY with daily compounding, a $10,000 deposit would give you about $408 at the end of the first year. And the higher your balance and the length of time you keep savings in a high-yield account, the more growth you'll receive. Tip number 2 is to understand that APYs can change. Savings accounts typically offer variable interest rates that are tied to the federal funds rate. So that means the APY can move up or down at any time. While banks are not required to update their rates the moment the Federal Reserve changes interest rates, most eventually adjust them. Also, some high-yield savings accounts offer sign-up bonuses. These are higher rates for new customers that may decrease after the promotional period ends. In addition, some of the highest savings rates may only apply to deposit tiers, like amounts up to $5,000 or $10,000. For instance, you might get the highest interest rate on your first $5,000, but a lower rate on amounts above that. So ensure the high rate you're looking at applies for your entire balance, or at least a large portion of it. High-yield savings accounts may also require you to maintain a balance or make a certain number of monthly deposits to qualify for their top rate. So be sure you understand the terms you have to meet to keep an enticing APY as high as possible. The fact that savings APYs are variable and may change based on how much you deposit makes it really difficult to answer Rita's question with just, one best account. Plus, the interest rate is just one factor to consider when choosing an account. Now, at the end of the show, I will recommend a few places that make it easy to compare high-yield savings accounts, so stay with me. Tip 3 is to watch out for fees. Another high-yield savings account rule to know is when the account charges fees. For instance, if an account requires a minimum balance, you'll get charged a monthly fee if you don't maintain that balance. While most high-interest accounts don't charge excessive fees, you typically pay for things like, overdrafts, using an out-of-network ATM, and making wire transfers. But you shouldn't pay a monthly fee just for the privilege of letting a bank hold your money. And, that monthly fee could easily wipe out the benefit of getting a higher interest rate in the first place. There used to be a federal law that limited withdrawals from traditional or high-yield savings accounts to 6 per month. But the Fed suspended that rule during the pandemic, and it hasn't been reinstated. However, some banks may still charge a, quote, excessive use fee if you exceed a certain number of monthly transfers, like 6 or maybe 10. Tip 4, get deposit protection. Opening a high-yield savings account at a bank or credit union insured by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, that's FDIC, or the National Credit Union Administration, NCUA, protects your money up to a legal limit. Both types of insurance cover up to $250,000 per depositor, per ownership category like individual or joint, per institution. With deposit protection, you'll be reimbursed within just a few business days if your traditional or high-yield savings account institution fails. So never put cash in a bank or credit union that doesn't offer insurance. But you may be thinking, well, Laura, maybe I've got more than $250,000 in savings. In that case, I recommend spreading it among multiple insured banks or credit unions so the full amount is protected. And some institutions even offer deposit insurance with higher limits, such as up to $1 million. So speak with a bank representative to learn more about protecting large amounts of savings. Tip 5. Be comfortable with online-only access. Most high-yield savings accounts allow you to access funds through online platforms, mobile apps, and debit or ATM cards. Since they're typically online-only banks, they may not have a physical branch that you can visit. So if you prefer face-to-face customer service, or maybe you regularly need to deposit cash, a high-yield savings account may not be the best choice. However, some online banks partner with ATM networks that do allow you to deposit cash, though it can be a hassle, depending on where you live, how far you are from one of those ATM machines. Your ability to make withdrawals and transfers anytime makes a high-yield savings account the perfect place for emergency cash and money allocated for your short-term goals. Tip number 6, know the right amount to save. Since savings accounts pay a known interest rate, and most are insured by the FDIC or NCUA, they carry virtually no risk. That's different from investments like stocks or index funds, which fluctuate in value. That's why it's essential to save and not invest money dedicated to short-term goals, like maintaining an emergency fund, taking a vacation, or buying a car in the next few years. You can rest easy knowing your cash will be there, plus some interest when you need it. However, it's generally not wise to save money for long-term goals like retirement in a high-yield savings account. Most investors need to earn higher returns to keep up with inflation, and accumulate a significant nest egg. Keeping all your money entirely safe could leave you short on the income that you need to live comfortably in retirement. So if you're like Rita and looking for a high-yield savings account, like with any financial institution, you will have to provide your full name, address, social security number, and a government-issued ID to open an account. And then once it's open, you can link it to your checking account for easy withdrawals and transfers, including your initial opening deposit. While an online-only bank may not be the best option if you need in-person service or a wide range of banking products, using a high-yield savings account with a competitive APY, no fees, and user-friendly features is a terrific way to earn more on your savings compared to a traditional bank savings account. Some great places to shop for a high-yield savings account include NerdWallet, Bankrate, and Finder. If you already have credit accounts with well-known institutions like American Express or Discover, they offer high-yield savings accounts with reliable APYs and excellent customer service. In addition, if you have an investment account, such as a brokerage or an IRA, the investment platform may also offer a competitive high-yield savings account. So, Rita, instead of trying to find the quote-unquote best high-yield savings account, or, the one with the highest APY possible, I would encourage you to open one with the features that I've covered here. It should be easy to use and offer a competitive, steady APY. That's all for now. I'll talk to you soon. Until then, here's to living a richer life. Money Girl is a quick and dirty tips podcast, and I want to thank our great team. Steve Rickyberg audio engineers the show. Holly Hutchins is our director of podcast. Morgan Christensen is our advertising operations specialist. Rebecca Sebastian is our marketing and publicity manager. Nathaniel Hoops is our marketing contractor. And Maram El Naguib is our podcast associate.